We're back again with the weekly Q&A. So we're just going to go through things. What's been happening this week? We'll talk about something about Mass Effect, I think, and something about It Takes Two. I don't know where that's coming from. And if you've got any questions there, just let us know. It's been an interesting day in Cloud Gaming Land because there has been some strange announcements which have just taken me by surprise. But first of all, we'll see how Barry is. Hi.
Yeah.
How are you? Are you awake?
I am awake. Yes, I am. I don't think I know what day of the week it is, but I am all right. I'm good. How about you? Are you all right?
Yeah, I am grand. I've just played a wee bit of Mass Effect on GFN. I've played a wee bit of Creator on Facebook Cloud Gaming. Where did that come from?
Hey, it's almost like you predicted it, like
I
a
know.
year ago.
And flip it, it's been a wild couple of days, and I think yes, I think we have to talk about the big news, which we didn't get to talk about last week, and we'll give our thoughts on that.
Absolutely, of course, it's got to be done.
Yep. So it's a bit of fun.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Look at all these lovely people in the chat as well.
Yeah, there's a fair few here, and we will. Someone forgot to log out from your own account. Hi, Monkey Boy, aka Cloud Validation. At least you're admitting it now, which is good to see. And yeah, we will say hello, and we'll come to your question in a second. Hi, Happy, and. The panel's thoughts in the Facebook, we will get there. Hi Warlock, thank you for joining as well.
I love the fact that 2.5 years later you still call him Warlock.
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
No, I'm just saying you're set in your ways, Duncan. That's all.
Very set in my ways, very much so. I'm a traditionalist. No, I'm not. But anyway, well, I think we've got a lot of to actually talk about, but we'll start off with the news from last week, which we didn't actually get to talk about, and that is the God of War news. What is your thoughts on the God of War? Carry on.
I mean, obviously, I think regardless of what platform you're on, you never want to be losing games. I think it's obviously, I think it's quite clear, that Sony have clearly pulled some strings there, especially as an announcement on the same day as the fact that it was going away from, from GeForce Now, that it was going into, kind of the new PlayStation Plus tiers and setup and that sort of thing. Huge disappointment. I don't think there's there is no way to to kind of cope that. I think the silver lining or the underlining thing is this magical new clause that we've kind of seen crept in last week, that if you've loaded the game up and you've hit into that main menu prior to the 1st of July, prior to its official leaving date on the service, if you've got it already, you are still going to be able to play it in a legacy fashion, and the game as well is still going to be updated or patched, which is really, really good news for the members that obviously have it in their library, want to play it, or anything like that. So for me, it's kind of bittersweet. Really disappointing that it's happened, because I felt like there was a real big positivity, buzz and vibe over the fact that God of War was in the cloud. It was running better than ever, on a 3080, and then it's going of a fashion. But it, as I say, the silver lining is the fact that there is a way to keep it and be able to play it, and it's going to be updated. I think if you're a gamer, that ticks a lot of boxes. Oh yeah, I'm disappointed, but actually, do you know what? I'll just fire it up. I can carry on playing it. It's fine, and it's going to be updated. Great, perfect.
Yeah, it's one of them ones. I think it is a bad look. But I don't think GFN knew this was going to happen because if this was even semi-planned by GFN, they knew what sort of backlash they were going to get if it only being in for this and being announced on the platform and being there for this in the month. It just does not look good at all, and it's it has created a bit of a backlash there. But I think GFN have learned from the mistakes from a couple of, or about a year ago when they lost a lot of the games from their library. They have now made that little clause of sorts that if a game comes on and people play it, it will continue to be there and will be continue to be in their libraries forever, basically, by the signs of things.
Yeah.
Or for a bit. So God of War is going to be the first big one of that. So I think it is bittersweet, but it's still such a it is a bad thing. But there's no, you can't say anything but that.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think you make a really interesting point as well in the fact that you were talking about, the GFN team not being aware that this was going to be happening. I think that is really, really interesting, and it's worth kind of making that point because I think they would have undoubtedly, I think they would have gone as far to say if it can only be there for 4 weeks, we don't want it, thank you very much, we'll just carry on.
Yeah, because it's having the game there for that little amount of time, it makes big news coming on to GFN. It's also making a hell of a lot of racket going off GFN, and I don't think it was worth the bad press for them to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it makes it look weaker because it's only on and off again, and I don't want that. And
yeah.
No matter what sort of platform out there. So we've got a question. Oh, no, were you going to say something there?
The only thing I was going to say to that is the only way that would have worked is if all parties involved knew that it was going to be the case and actually declared that it was going to be available for a month or some, and then go into legacy. A bit like you see with a subservice, I'm thinking like GTA, they split off and went into, some of the services that were available for a limited period and then they disappeared. I think in that instance, had it have been that take on it, it would have been very different. But yeah.
If they came out and said we're bringing we're bringing God of War to GFM for 8 weeks, it's basically 8 weeks or 2 months.
Yeah.
I think if that was in the press release, I think people would have said, okay, yeah, that's dead on. But this, and then straight out again, it isn't good. Even if they said it's going to be on for a limited time, it just sets expectations. But I don't think they were expecting this at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
We've got some good news to talk about for Stadia. It's just been announced that World War C is getting crossplay on Stadia, which is absolutely class because that's what we want on Stadia, is as much crossplay as possible for the games, especially multiplayer focused games. So that is maybe going to breathe some more life into World War C for Stadia users.
Superb. And it, as you say, I think brilliant news for Stadia and in gaming in general. The more crossplay added, the better, because wherever you choose to play, you want to be able to interact with your friends that are playing on different platforms. So the fact that they've got that in there, I think is good. It's a good sign. Yeah,
it is. More games the better for this. Yeah, we'll just move on. There's no point saying all that again. So I've got a wee question here from Cloud Validation. Quick question. They finally just popped into my store. I see there's a Friends Pass copy. Does that mean that you buy one copy and 2 people can play it from different accounts on GeForce Now? I believe it does, because you just activate it.
Yeah, it is. I'm presuming that's in reference to It Takes Two.
It Takes Two, yeah.
Yeah. If that's the way it worked at launch. In the fact that if you had it, you could buy send the buddy pass off, and then somebody else could play it with you. So yeah, I would believe it would work in that way because that's how it was at launch.
And you really enjoyed It Takes Two?
I absolutely loved it. For me, I know it won Game of the Year, but I think it was a deserved winner because the way that they pulled all of the elements in that, in terms of, it's the kind of thing that, you know, you could kind of parent child, you could have that experience together. You know, a couple, you can sit and play it together. It was just so, you know, the story's well done. There's good humour in there. The game mechanics are good fun. You know, it was an absolute blast to sit and play. And then you've got all the little mini games as well that, as you go into each area, you kind of want to go back and play and make sure that you've captured all the mini games as well, because there's some crackers in there.
And is there trolling in the game?
Always.
Yeah, it's a real fun one to actually play. I've played it a wee bit with Kelly. We're a couple of levels into it. It is a lot of fun, but I think it's not a game I could play it all in one go because there's a lot of dynamics involved, we will say. If you if you accidentally kill people and such, like, there's a lot of trust and stuff in the game as well. I think blasting that and playing over a couple of nights is an absolute perfect one for that one. But playing it in one setting, I think it would be a struggle for me because I'd be too trolly in it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I played it over like a series of a few nights with my wife, and yeah, there was only one time I think where the threat of, if you don't stop, I'm gonna put the controller down and that's it. We're done. We're not playing anymore.
But for me, there's always that temptation just to go about and just troll. I just can't resist it, and it's actually developed into the game. You can see it is developed into the game.
Yeah,
Which
it is indeed.
Just go about and cause havoc to your other partner playing that game. It is absolutely fun. It is a complete another laugh, but I wouldn't go overboard because I think that there is tipping points where you could just go over the edge and
Yes.
completely and utterly destroy relationships.
Yeah,
Okay.
easily.
Before we move on to Fet's question, Fet, 100%, we are going to definitely cover that. We've got a question here from Alexis.
Alexis. Yeah.
What is cloud gaming?
I mean, I think the way that I always, you know, kind of explain cloud gaming to kind of, whether it be people that I work with, family, friends, all that sort of stuff, is it is the ability to play games, obviously, where necessarily the hardware and the underlying power is not necessarily a physical device or a box under your TV. You're effectively playing on technology that sits in somebody else's data center in their cloud, where you can access either games that are available on their service or games from your library, depending on which cloud game service you are using, because there are a few of them out there that you can kind of pick up, and they've each got different variations over their libraries, but that it's about all the power and everything is provided by that cloud provider, rather than you having to have the absolute out and out best piece of technology under your TV or in your PC.
Yeah, basically the sort of rule of thumb you could basically go for is, if you can watch this on YouTube, you'll be able to play games through that device. That's more or less the rule of thumb. It's,
yeah.
Or
I was just going to say, I think obviously the thing that does come with that, and in terms of some of the big things that are important, is considering kind of your internet speeds, and looking at whether you've got a stable internet connection. whether you're using Wi-Fi on the device that you're playing with, or if you want optimum results, it's hardwiring into your router, because you're going to get the best, most consistent possible speed and throughput to your device. So there's a couple of caveats and a couple of things to consider in that respect. But yeah, absolutely. If you can kind of stream Netflix in HD or 4K or whatever it is, then chances are you are going to be in a pretty comfortable place to experience cloud gaming to a good standard.
Yeah, so that I seen that question pop up. I thought it was better to get that one before we move on to
Yeah.
this one, which is from xCloud Gaming. And I want to know the panel's thoughts on the Facebook gaming news. For people who don't know, Facebook have opened up their cloud gaming solution. It's only got one game on over here in Europe. It's actually open up in Europe and you can play it in Europe, which is a big step, I think, in the first place. And that game is Creator. People may know that game from being on Stadia. Facebook or Meta acquired Creator last year.
Yeah, it
And
was. Yeah.
they've been starting to invest in them and build them up, and now we're actually seeing the fruits of that now, and they've pushed this onto their cloud gaming solution. I have jumped in and played, and it's working. It was working pretty well for me. I think it does need a little bit more work, but overall it is completely and utterly playable. It looked about 1080p, and it was a 60 FPS. There was some artifacting in the distance when I was playing it as well, but overall it's completely and utterly playable, and it is running at 60 FPS, and I think it's good to actually see do this. One thing I will add, when Creator is still on Stadia, and you can use a link to jump into multiplayer games and things like that, jump straight into the session, you can do that through the Facebook solution as well. So if you create a link in your game, people can click on that link and go bang straight into your session, which is pretty good. So that was a brief overview of what has happened with Facebook today. So Barry, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's a lot. I know we spoke about this probably at length at the time that it happened when they picked it up, because obviously, as you mentioned, Creator kind of started its life, as an exclusive on Stadia. It kind of came out of there, went into the Epic Games Store, and then obviously it's kind of gone through that journey and then ending up under the the ownership of Facebook. I think it had a little bit of probably an unfortunate ride to pick up. I think it deserved a lot more exposure, and I was glad to see that Facebook bringing that in and then now pushing it with cloud, I think was inevitable for them. I think if you make an acquisition of that nature, to acquire that sort of thing, it's about making sure that you've got it's in your delivery thoughts of delivering that to your existing consumers. So I think it's I think it's brilliant. If you're a Facebook user, and the nice thing I noticed when you sent me that link earlier after you've been playing, you actually get the option on the link as to which platform you want to play on. So when you actually go in, it actually says, do you want to play on Facebook, do you want to play on Epic, or do you want to play it on Stadia? And you can click each one.
It's good to actually get the choice, because you might Facebook, whatever I'm trying to say, Facebook may work better for you, Stadia may work better for you, and you can get the choice if you just want to jump in and play, and the options are always good there. I was playing on Facebook just to see how that was. Again, pleasantly surprised by that. I think we're going to see more ventures into this, and it's something we've talked about before as well. I think this is the first steps for VR and streaming onto the Oculus itself, and it's nowhere near there yet. I'm telling you that Facebook gaming there today it's playable. It's, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like xCloud a couple of months ago. Remember how quickly Xbox have been developing their cloud streaming, where starting off it was okay. Or sorry, it was rubbish. Sorry, it was rubbish. And then it got okay, and now it's for me. In my experience, it was running fine. Now, Creator, Facebook Gaming is in that okay stage where it's you can sit down and play it. You can play some games on it. I wouldn't say it's out there outstanding and it's equivalent to Xbox or GFN or anything like that. It's just like a step behind, but this is their first real foray into this using a full featured sort of game, and it's just going to give them a lot of it's going to intrigue because we know they are infested with Oculus, and now they're going to be doing this. Are we going to see any games get added on top of this? And that is going to be the real puzzle, because it's running really well. It's playable, and I'm just trying to. It's exciting that a new platform is up and running now, and we can get the mess about them.
Yeah, but it's exactly that, and obviously you touched on the kind of some of the artifacting and that sort of stuff, but in terms of responsiveness on controls, yeah,
absolutely fine for me.
That's good, and I think there's an element there of probably two teams coming together to kind of, because undoubtedly Facebook will have done a lot of learning in that process, because Creator have been through that process of making their game run in the cloud. They know how to do it. And then obviously Facebook will have had to have done some learning. So I think that's good. And, it'd be good to keep tabs on how that progresses and how the performance enhances as well.
Yeah, this is their starting point. Everybody had their starting point, and they all started at different places. This is a very solid sort of start for Facebook Gaming. They've got a nice game to do. They can put in some cloud stuff where they can do the click and play and the link sharing, and people can jump into your game. They've got the good start. Just need to get more games onto it and just expand it out. But I definitely do think we're going to see this eventually move into the VR space. I think creative VR, I don't think it's going to be too far away. Maybe just playing on it, not actually building. But it's a nice start.
Imagine being able to build in Creator in VR.
That would be nuts, wouldn't it?
That'd be bonkers.
See, this is the thing. Creator has that potential to actually explode and be a Roblox or along them sort of lines. They've got the tools there, they've got the money behind them now, they've got the investment, they've now got this on the cloud platform which Facebook owns. So what Facebook's like, they're going to be pushing that on to everybody under the sun to jump into that. And I can see them maybe spinning off maybe some of the games and just giving you the straight link into some of the more well-received games. This is the sort of potential they have of this, and they've got the numbers there. What I've been trying to actually find out is how many countries this is available in, because I haven't been able to actually find that, because it just seemed to have opened it up. I don't know how. It seems to be a fair number because we can now use it.
Yeah, no, of course, and that's good. They've obviously feel comfortable enough to kind of roll it out in that direction. So watch this space to see how it develops.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start, and they have a lot to improve on, and I think they've got a lot of potential. I know people won't like Facebook or Meta, but competition is good. Competition pushes everybody on. Hi Warlord. I'm just seeing if there's any. Okay, I've got another question from Cloud Allegation. Only thing that makes me scratch my head: the God of War, an example of their limited contract with the developer, if any at all. I think that it's just a limited. Do you think the GFN are going into limited sort of contracts? I don't think they are wanting to do that at all. I think this just completely and utterly got them off guard, and because again, I just don't think they would want the fallout.
No, they're definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay. Let me see. We've got what is cloud gaming.
I think we've got that one from Win Always.
Will the boost be 37 GPU on Shadow after the... No, you would have to pay for the upgrade for that one. You have to pay an extra, what's it, $20 or $30?
Yeah, something like that. It's in that region, isn't it?
Yeah. Where you, unfortunately, it's just frustrating. Shadow works extremely well. It's just the pricing is starting to look a bit pricey when you want to get into the sort of heavy tiers. If you're using it as a fully fledged PC, yeah, it's actually not bad price for what's out there. But if you're just using it for gaming, and most of your games are in GFN, you would probably go GFN. It's a tough one. It is a tough one if you want to get into the 4K. If you're just doing 1080, you've got boosteroids, and you have got GFN as well, just doing the 1080 tier. It's just... options are good, and I have a feeling that price may come down, because I don't think they're going... What do you think?
I'm not sure that it will, if I'm honest. I think if you look at kind of some of the fallout that there was last year with the uncertainty over Shadow as a whole, then it being picked up by over xCloud, I think what we're seeing is kind of obviously an element of a step in substantial upgrades, but also a pricing structure that is based on healthy maintenance of kind of running that section, and running Shadow to make sure that it's at least able to turn some element of profit. I think they've learnt some lessons possibly in transferring in how they can do it. It's taken them a while to kind of look at what they've done, and how they had to plot a way forward. This is what they've come back with, and I genuinely think that it may. Don't get me wrong. I can see why it would turn people off, in the sense of not wanting to looking at that price and go, I'm not sure that's as attractive anymore, because it is a hefty amount. But however, as you say, if you're using that as a day-to-day, PC and gaming, everything, if you try and set something up in Azure, try and set something up in Google Cloud, AWS, and try and get something with a real, beefy spec, you're going to be spending more than that. At which point, Shadow looks like a good option.
Yeah, options are right. I think it's looking too much, and I think they're going to be looking at that, because I know a lot of people have been actually kicking up a fuss, because some of the stuff they said last year was they are going to uplift the other or the boost tier, and they're not doing that, and the difference is just going to be fast. I think there might be something as well with that other new competitor coming on with what's a present PC as well. To answer your question, I do see it there is... are we going to cover Shadow? Absolutely, we're going to cover Shadow. It's on our to-do list to get that, and we're going to reach out to them and speak to them, because we know a lot of you want to find out what is happening in Shadowland, so we are going to be doing that as well. So don't be worrying, we will be still covering Shadow.
Yes, yeah, of course, absolutely. Covering things across the board, making sure that we're getting our getting into as many of those cloud gaming services. And I think even after our Q&A last week, you said we'd reach out to some people with regard to Kickstarter, and that sort of thing. And I know you've had some dialogue, and you're going back and forth trying to kind of get some more stuff on that, so that we can talk a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, I'm just going to be a bit vague here. We are talking to a number of different cloud providers out there, ones which you probably may not even know. And we've been doing some arrangements there, and it's stay tuned. It's going to be a fun ride. I don't think some people might not like all the different cloud providers we're going to be speaking to, but we are trying to give the complete and utter range, and it's I'm excited to actually where we're going here, because
Yeah,
we have got a lot of things already starting here, and if there's any you want us to cover, just tell us and we will reach out and we will try and get that done, and we will invest our money into actually bringing that content here, and
yep,
just to go through it.
yep, absolutely, absolutely.
And, uh, next one is Andrew Woman knows. Just hi, how's it going? We are awesome as always. I've got a question from Happy here. Again, anybody can just drop their questions in here and we will do our best to answer them. We don't shy away. We give our opinions rightly or wrongly. Is Kojima working on 2 games? On the horror game, we can't talk about that game. We can't talk about that game. We might get no. Uh, and a game for okay, Happy. I think you've maybe got them a bit backwards and forwards there, but the horror game looks like it's the Xbox game, and that could be the cloud game. There's a possibility, which was meant to come to Stadia as well. I don't want to spoil it because it's getting announced tomorrow, so I'm just going to be as vague as possible. I do not want to dial that in. And we also know that Death Stranding 2 is in the works because of the leak, and Kojima sort of acknowledged that anyway.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think that's the right and the fair thing to do, because I know undoubtedly as we hit kind of that E3, or what would traditionally be the E3 period as we head into Summer Game Fest, definitely don't want to be putting any spoilers out there, and kind of, people want to enjoy it, they want to savour it, and I think that's the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, we love E3 and we love covering the conferences. We won't be doing it this week on CGX, but I think we will be doing them in the future, the ones down the line. So keep an eye out for them. Modern, we just call it Modern. Is Uncharted coming to GeForce Now?
If you'd have asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said it stands a solid chance. I think in light of last week, I would revert probably to my original gut prior and say no. I don't believe, as far as we would see, that Uncharted will be appearing on GeForce Now once it hits kind of PC.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that ship has sailed. I was very close, wasn't it?
That was close.
That ship has sailed. Unfortunately, I'm really, really disappointed because I was really looking forward to actually pushing the 3080 tier to the max with that, because Uncharted is, I'm just trying to say, it's my second favorite PlayStation franchise.
It's my favourite PlayStation franchise, even though I've played God of War. But now, for me, I think everything about that, those 4 games. Well, I know there's technically the other one, but the traditional 4, as I see it, but were just brilliant. I loved everything about them, and that's why it sits as my favourite franchise. I would have bought it. I would have bought it again. I've got it. I've got it on. If they'd have done it, I'd have bought it again happily, and I'd have played it. I'd have played through it again without any issues.
Yeah, that's the same with me. For me, God of War is mine. So I'm happy there. I love the originals, and then not the remake, the reimagining of God of War. So I'm pretty happy with that. Uncharted, unfortunately, I do not think that is coming.
Sadly, not.
Yeah,
I'll happily be proved wrong, though.
yeah. What I would say, since we're we're talking about the GFN news. I know it is big and disappointing. The big news is out here. Two massive games have come to GFN and they're playable now, in Mass Effect and It Takes Two. It's that the wee expression. It's not how hard you hit. It's how hard you. What's that's one thing from my head, but you know what I mean. The Rocky one. It's
yes.
It's how you hit after you've been where, you know what I mean. But yeah, I think GFN have recovered brilliantly this week, dropping two of the most requested titles on the GeForce Now this week in Mass Effect Legendary Edition and It Takes Two. You can play them now. Mass Effect in 4K is a joy. It is an absolute joy. The gameplay is amazing. We're going to have some 4K coverage up shortly, and if you're looking for extended gameplay with no commentary, check out our Cloud Gaming Extreme gameplay channel, and we'll be putting some longer versions of games up on there. Barry didn't know anything about that.
Throw me a curveball, as usual.
Yes, I always do that, so you can check out that. It's something which I'm thinking we might introduce. So basically, our B-roll, just get it. You can see a more full, in-depth sort of look at these games in 4K rather than the cut-up version. So you can check that out. You can subscribe to that if you so wish. It's just going to be just more gameplay, less talking. But I think this has been these two games coming is great.
Yeah, I think it's superb. I mean, I think it was one of the things we were talking about, only a few days ago. Offline, we were having a conversation at the weekend, and we were saying it'd be interesting to see what with the disappointment of the God of War news. It will be interesting to see when we hit GFN Thursday, what comes back. How do they kind of put themselves in a position where they bounce back and kind of almost good PR after bad PR? How do they do it? How do they manage it? And clearly, they're demonstrating and leveraging more of that relationship with EA, and that's a massive thing, because obviously if you've got Steam or you've got EA Play, a lot of these games are just counting up. You can add them straight into your library. Off you go. In terms of, we've got the Battlefields, we've got some Need for Speed, we've got a bit of variety thrown in there, and now that we've got Mass Effect and It Takes Two, I think they're fantastic additions, and I'm actually looking forward to playing Mass Effect. And confession time, I'm going to throw it out there, I have not played Mass Effect.
I've played Mass Effect, but I haven't played Mass Effect at completion. Or you can just, we can both be thrown over the coals in that. But I've got so far, and then I got distracted onto something else. That's my usual sort of probably Slay the Spire. But no, I actually got Mass Effect on Xbox when it came out, the Xbox 360, and I got pretty deep into it, and I started playing other stuff. And to what's the word I'm looking for? It's the magpie almost into shiny sort of things. We've got some brilliant questions here, and I've got one for Win Always. It's about one of the platforms, but we'll go into this one. Could Xbox make Call of Duty for cloud gaming?
I think the world is hoping.
Yes.
every hard drive, SSD, console out there is kind of hoping and praying that if that acquisition goes through, that we end up seeing COD in the cloud. Even if it starts with Warzone, I think that will be a big thing, because obviously there's a lot of people that are diving in and kind of playing Warzone, and just getting that in the cloud would be a fantastic starting point for demonstrating what they want to do with that as a franchise.
The acquisition goes through, Call of Duty will be on xCloud within a day. I think it's just gonna they're just going to drop whatever 1, or what's it, Modern Warfare 2, straight into it, and the Bug Warzone straight onto it, and then they'll work about the other ones. They will drop that just like we did for Bethesda. I'm pretty sure that they're probably already testing them. Even though they're not meant to be doing any of that sort of stuff. Just for testing purposes, have them all ready to go for when and if that deal goes through. So yeah, if you're going to want to play Call of Duty, it will be on there, and I think it will be running pretty well. We talked about the thing. When Always is asking about emulation. One of the cloud gaming services we are speaking to is Antstream. Antstream is a retro game service where you can play the old games, and it is pretty cool. There's challenges. Do you remember the game? It was on the Wii U Nintendo like remix, where they added wee bits and bobs in the games and maybe challenges. To do that on Antstream, or you have to do like a high score challenge and stuff like that. It's free. It's 100% free. You may have to watch some ads now and again, or you can pay a subscription for like 20 or 30 pound a year at this moment, because they've got a deal on, and it's pretty cool. And you can play it across your phones, your Macs. It goes onto the Nvidia Shield. It goes onto a Fire Stick as well. So it's pretty cool, and it's got a hell of a lot of old games. If you're looking at arcade games, you're looking C64 or Amstrad and stuff like that. It is absolutely nuts.
I have to. I've dipped in little bits into Antstream, but I actively have to not go and spend too much time there, because I think if I did, I think I'd just get lost. I'd be gone. And that's nothing against any other kind of service or or anything like that. It's just one of those things, because of the nostalgia that's contained within there. You're just like, oh my god, this game's there. Oh, let's do this. Oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, do you remember this? And then that's it. Before you know it, you've lost so much time.
Fun fact: one of my avatars is from a game which is unavailable on Antstream called Megalomania. Absolutely brilliant game. It's a strategy game where you build up and you go through from the Stone Age up until modern times. It is absolutely class, and it's a bit like Tom and Jerry. You weren't going to get that sort of thing with the music. Do you remember when you used to watch the old cartoons that picked off some classical music? They've got classical music playing through that, and I absolutely love that song. It's Mars from the planets, and they have that. It's just and you're flipping there playing it, and it's just absolutely class. So
excellent.
So there is a bit of a curveball there. We've got another question here. Again, to keep the questions coming. What do you guys think about Nvidia GeForce Now? I used it for Rainbow Six Siege. All the other games are okay. Or trash or already played with no input, and the 3080. I wish there was more games like the beta. Yes. What I'll go for my talk about GFN. GFN is my favorite cloud gaming service. I think it is the gold standard now when you are playing on the 3080. That sets the bar, and it's just amazing. I think it gets a ton of unfair flack about how hard it is to log into it. For me, it just works like that, and I can just jump straight in on the Shield as well. I absolutely love GFN, and for me, it's got me back into PC gaming, because they're bringing the PC games week after week, and it's just class. And I know people think that the 3080 is a lot of money. Yes, the amount of savings you can make on games on PC, you just make up for it. If you want to pick up a ton of games for GFN, you can go pick up the Humble Bundle for this month. It has got it's £9, 12 $8. And it has 8 games there. 7 of them are on GFN. And I know it was free a couple of weeks ago. But you've got Star Wars Squadrons there. You've got Pumpkin Jack. That has surprised me. That game, Pumpkin Jack, is a platformer, and it's a ton of fun. You get Super Hot Mind Control Delayed Game Deck, Call of the Sea, Phoenix Point Year 1 Edition, Siege Survival as well. I have dipped into them today as well, and complete another value there. What do you think? What do you think of GFN?
GFN, I think I've got a very similar viewpoint to yourself in terms of how it performs and that standard and the consistency of performance that it delivers. And I like the fact that across each of my devices, whether I'm sat in front of my PC, my PC, I'm gaming at 1440 120. On my MacBook, I'm gaming at 1440 120. I'm doing 4K 60 on my TV. I'm doing 120 hertz on my mobile. I can't do that anywhere else. Flat out, I can't do that anywhere else. And the biggest thing for me as well is, and I know that comment touched on games that have already been played, or some of them not maybe being to that person's liking. Some of the games that I've already played are actually, or I'm familiar with, are actually on the 3080 are some of the perfect games to go back and actually appreciate, because you can go and look at some of those games, provided there's replayability in the game and you'll get enjoyment out of playing it. It's a reinvented experience because it runs at a performance level that makes it feel almost like it's new. You forget the fact that it may be a decade or longer old. You just have a real reinvigorated appreciation for that game, what it did. You attach memories to when you played it the first time, all that sort of good stuff. From a technological standpoint, I don't think there's not any question that technologically it delivers on a level above everybody else. If we look at where latency is, we've seen tests that show that it's latency is under that of of some of the consoles that are out there. It feels native. You'd be hard pushed to stick that in front of a gamer without telling them that they are playing in the cloud. And I don't think that people would be able to tell you that you are gaming in the cloud. They wouldn't have a clue. They'd think that you were gaming on a PC or a box under a TV or something similar. My wish is probably the same as the GFN teams, is just to get more games arriving into the service. I think as gamers we're all craving more all of the time. We do a good job with what we get, and how they're obviously having to pace themselves at the amount of games they're bringing at all the right times, manage workloads. But I like the fact that they are they're in a consistent cycle of feature update, technological improvement and game additions that make it an attractive platform.
Yeah, that's something we touched on, Cloud Walkers, which we do a Cloud podcast on every couple of weeks, every 2 weeks, and we touched on that before. I'm just going to reiterate that point I brought up in that show. The stuff that GFM bring every week or every month is just run of the mill for them, but if it goes on to another platform, it's a headline act. They've brought 4K 120 onto your desktop. That's nothing. We'll just move on. Fortnite on all the devices. That's nothing. But that's a headline event this month for xCloud, and they've been doing this. GFN have a standard which the other cloud services don't have at this moment in time, where their expectations are always higher than the other ones, which is just real interesting. I think if you step back and actually look at what is actually going on, it's just really, really, you just have to applaud what they're doing, because they are pushing cloud gaming on.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They are. There's no two ways about it. They are. They've drawn a marker in the sand, and they've set a precedent for people to, to try and catch up to, and kind of live up to and fulfill. That comes with its dangers as much as it does its benefits. If you're the king of the crop, that's absolutely superb. Whilst people are looking at it and going, "That's brilliant," it just means that other people have got the ability to catch you, and you have to keep innovating and keep pushing forward.
And that's why I can't wait for this xCloud box to come out, because I think that is going to push GFN even further. Because I think we're going to drop 4K on it, and that's going to put them up against each other. So how are GFN going to respond to that if they get their crown knocked off? Because if xCloud gets up to the Series X standard, yes, it may not be as powerful as the 3080 tier, but it's going to have a wider library. How are GFN going to respond to that? And I just can't wait for that battle to happen, because that's going to benefit us, and that's what makes it all exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Thank you, ASMR Chief and Hellmonkey, done a brilliant job, and we're hoping to continue that down the line. Alexis, I can't speak. We're going to keep an eye on our GPU as well, so don't be worrying about that. Okay, we've got a interesting question. Do you think it is worth purchasing a Premier Edition, or should I not bother, as I'm new to cloud gaming and I've seen the gulp over?
No, I don't think it's.
What I would say, I will start this off. If you go and look at Stadia and you like the games which are on Stadia, and they will satisfy you for the next wee while, and the money isn't a big issue to you, then yeah, go purchase it. If you can get a Premier Edition, you probably have to go into that watch and play kit now. Stadia, if you like the games, it's fair enough. You can go and do it. Personally, I would recommend people not doing Stadia at this moment in time if they are looking to AAA games. If you're looking to play, let's say, Saints Row later in this year, if you want to play Madden, this year's edition of Madden, if you want to play, I'm just trying to think of other games coming out my head, the Call of Duties and the big AAA games, then Stadia is probably not the place where you want to go now. If you're looking at the big AAA sort of games, and you're to get at some sense, it's probably more xCloud or Boosteroid.
Yeah, I'd probably say in that respect. I think the biggest, I guess the biggest piece of advice that is probably most relevant in this case is have a look at what's available in the libraries of each of the cloud services to understand whether that's going to be substantial enough for your gaming needs, or and that sort of thing. Because it may well be that yes, it's your first foray into cloud gaming. You might look at the library and go, do you know what? Actually, there's plenty within there that actually I've not gamed for a few years. There's plenty that I want to jump into within that library. At which point, I think you could certainly make a case to say there is a library there of things to enjoy, and I think there's also games within there that you probably wouldn't even think of enjoying. There are games in there that will jump out and catch you by surprise, that are a really enjoyable experience. And I think that's probably the best thing you can say is you've got to do what's best for you. But I'd definitely urge you to look at some of the cloud services and understand the libraries as to whether that's going to be sufficient for you.
Yeah, and the best thing to actually do is all of them have got a free option, or most of them have a free option now. xCloud, you can jump in and try a fortnight. GFN's free option, I still have a real tough time recommending that. But if you can deal with the queues and stuff like that, try their free option. The reason why there's queues on GFN's free tier is because they don't make any money from game sales or DLCs or anything like that. They they just get money from people paying a subscription, so that is the reason why that is there. But you can try out their free tier. You can try out Stadia's free tier as well, because there's free to play games like Destiny 2 is a good one to try on their free tier and just see if which one suits you, which one you feel at home at. Um, the best thing about cloud gaming is you can just jump between all of them. If one's doing something good, you can go to that one for the month. If you like what the other one's doing, you can go to that one for a month and backwards and forwards.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and that's also really a really valuable point with regard to the free account and being able to test it, because also you might find that some services perform better than other. So you might try one and you might have an absolutely poor experience, and you go, okay, actually that's not for me. But then you might play another one and you're like, actually that one works for me, and then that's when you can then start collating that works. Okay, it does. Do the other boxes get ticked?
Yeah, we try. Our aim is to try and be impartial in all this. xCloud for me is the most temperamental. Some people it works absolutely flawlessly. Touch wood, I'm one of them people at this moment in time. But there's other people where it's basically close to unplayable.
Yeah.
And there's some games in xCloud run really, really well, and there's some games you need to avoid. Between GFN and Stadia, I would say Stadia is probably ahead of GFN in that regard. I think more people seem to have a better time on Stadia with that, but it's marginal, I would say. Especially at the free tier, you go to Stadia to try that, because that's you can just jump straight into that one. With GFN, you've got the queuing, and that is a bit of off-putting towards people. But that's where I would sort of level it up. But try xCloud, try Stadia straight away, and if you can bear with it, you can go with the GFN one. I would maybe just sign up for a month of GFN just to try it a proper go, just even the priority membership, because you just jump the queues, you get your RTX and stuff like that, and if you really like that, you can move on to the 3080, where it is just another level up.
Yep. And the other thing as well, because obviously you specifically asked about kind of Stadia in the Premier Edition, is obviously tying into what Duncan's saying there about jumping in and trying it. If you've got an Xbox controller, a PlayStation controller, you jump in and try it with the controller. The Stadia controller is obviously the recommended optimum way to play it, but you can play with another controller. And that enables you to kind of see. That will give you a good gauge of how it's going to perform for you and how it feels.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on. We've still got a lot of questions here. I know we're trying to keep this to an hour, but we like doing this. This is one of the things we really like doing. So just, shall I say, no, keep them coming. We'll try and answer them quickly.
Yeah.
We've got another one from When Always. Why do the game publishers not want their games on GFN? They'll sell more copies. I don't.
You're awesome.
Oh, thank you very much, Robert, for becoming a member. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to touch on member stuff at the end, but we'll continue on that. I don't understand why GFN can't get more titles. This is actually more deeper than a lot of people realize. First of all, licensing. I know that sounds absolutely nuts. There is problems with licensing, especially in the sports games. They may not have a license to put it onto the cloud, and that may be stopping why some of these games aren't coming across. And another reason is, unfortunately, it's a gaming industry and it is a business, and they want paid. They want paid to bring their game to GFN, even though it's very, very easy to bring their games to GFN. They want money for bringing their game across.
yeah, I think that, money talks, doesn't it?
But speaking
You know,
speaking of money talking, thank you very much, Cloud Validation, for donating $2, sir. Thank you very much.
yeah, it absolutely does, and I think the most simplest way to say this is, when we have interaction with the team at GeForce Now, they are gamers. They will sit and talk about all sorts of games they enjoy playing, and that sort of thing. They want as many games as they can possibly consume on that service. It's not even a case that they're sat there going, well, actually, we're just going to do this and we're content doing this. They are sat there internally pushing people and having conversations because they want as many games as they can possibly deliver, because they know that in the gaming sphere the appetite is there for people that want to play it, and obviously people want to experience it as some of the absolute top end quality. And at the moment, obviously, in the last through the pandemic, and kind of sort of beyond, we've seen hardware shortages, continue to see hardware and chip shortages and that sort of stuff. There's a real good alternative. I think everybody wishes they could just turn that accelerator up and just drop loads on, but I think there's a very understandable reason that it's carefully considered, it's methodical, it's well paced. Because if you kind of dump everything on, then yeah, you're done, aren't you? Like, if you went and scooped everything that everybody wants and went, there you go, it's all on GFN. Where do you go from that other than wait until the next big release comes out, or this, that, and the other?
And that's what you were sort of saying regarding the EA games. You thought this is exactly how they would do it. They would slowly, every couple of weeks or months, they'll drop a couple more on. I think all eyes are going to be on Madden and FIFA and all the sports titles. Uh, will they be coming? That is going to be the big thing. But it's really encouraging signs. They're bringing their big games here. They're not slowing down, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Point was, okay, cloud validation. Point was, do they not have binding contracts with the games that are in the service? Is there a walk-away policy at any time with all the games? Otherwise, why would they be surprised? I'm going to be frank, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
my guess is it's a very easy opt in or opt out, and I think there must be an opt out thing where they have to give notice that they're no longer wanting to have their games in. But again, going back to that, I really like the contract, or we'll call it a clause. Or we're assuming it's a new thing in their contract where they have to keep it to. And but yeah, I think there's just a notice period of a month, or it would be about a month and a half or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but it would be, wouldn't it? Because I think last week would have been near enough 1st of June. So,
Yeah.
it is pretty much a month.
Hi, Victor. Thank you for joining. Let me see. Uh, uh, Cloud Validation thinks the vast majority of call players would prefer it, but yeah. GTP Game Tech Planet and Stream runs really well in Steam Deck. Oh yeah, it is really good, and it saves you getting involved with all them emulators and things like that. So it's well worth checking that out. Hi, Han. Let's see. I'm not sure, but just looking at this question here. And temperature first. I always get a blurry screen and even sounds audio is muted.
It's an interesting one. I think there's probably more layers to that to try and understand kind of how you're playing and that sort of thing. As to kind of why you're getting that experience, because that, I mean, that would potentially indicate to me that there's either possibly something to do with connection speeds, throughput, or even latency, where everything's a little bit jumbled, or jitter, and you kind of things are a bit jumbled, and it's not able to display at the at the best possible rate.
Yeah, that sounds like it's maybe a network issue. The best thing to actually do is reach out to GFN and go through their support. But if you give us more details, if you put a comment, then we can see what we can actually do. If you give us more details underneath this video, we will try and see what we can do to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, just seeing here. Yeah, we can touch on this because that has actually been. We've actually got more info on that this week. Waiting on the xCloud device day one. I was reading that the Jez Gordon article at Windows Central. Go check out the article. He's got it all done up there. It's really quite interesting. It looks like it's coming next year. It looks like it's been delayed, and what I find really interesting is they are actually copying Stadia and the Premier Edition. They want to have a controller and stuff in that in a nice wee package, and it looks like they're wanting to add some streaming apps onto it. So you might get like a mini, like a really bog standard, or not bog standard, really cheap PC in that box running some sort of Windows just to get all these different apps going. I think I think they're under a winner there, because if you get that, people like physical hardware. It is one of them things, and if you get that wee box to put underneath your TV, you've got access to Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and all on that. Plus, you've got xCloud there as well. I think it's going to be very appealing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question over that. It's certainly going to be appealing. And it makes sense tying some of the multimedia in there, especially with the Xbox movies, where you can rent or you can purchase TVs, films, all that sort of stuff. To try and have that little bit of a multimedia element to it, I think is a good move. I think I've said this probably a couple of times now. My only hope is that they put a good spec Ethernet port on it. I want a gigabit, port on there, because I think, based on what people are going to want to do with that device, and you want to hardwire it, you've got to have gigabit for sure.
Yeah. Also coming out from the xCloud sort of stuff. I'm going to put this up. I need a sound effect or something. Spoilers. This is a slight spoiler. This news has been broken and it's been talked about. If you do not want to hear this, it's not game announcements. It's xCloud announcements, which have sort of came out. So here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. xCloud is getting launched into more countries, and what was it? Oh, that wasn't it. I forgot what the rest one was going to be. It's getting launched into more countries. And Samsung app, that's it. And the Samsung app is going on to Samsung TVs. So you need to keep an eye out for Xbox. Apparently, this announcement is coming before their big presentation on Sunday. So it may come actually through Gamescom. So that is going to be a lot of fun there, and I can't wait. I want cloud gaming expanded for everybody. I want gaming completely around the world. I want to get the devs in all the different countries around the world making games, so we can get new stories and maybe even new genres and everything, just because more and more people are gaming, and that's what cloud gaming actually opens up, is that. And now I can evangelize about that for a long time. Let me see. Thank you all for commenting here. I'm just trying to sort of catch up with everything here.
I'm gonna say, just trying to sift through some of the questions and kind of and comments. There's loads. It's great to see.
Yeah. Just keep them coming. Shadow is one of the best value money for use for work too. Yeah, if you're looking at a full size PC, nothing comes close to Shadow. For me, that's It's brilliant. I've got my Shadow Ghost up the stairs, so yeah, I do have that, and we've both used Shadow a fair bit.
Yeah, we
For
have.
we actually used it for people who took part in our Stadia Grand Prix, which we held, which had it was a full F1 weekend. That that was actually recorded on with Shadow because it does do a hell of a lot of heavy lifting, and it made it a hell of a lot easier for us to actually do.
It does. Do you remember when we went so crazy that we played Cloud on Cloud?
Yes, we don't want to do that. That that was absolutely mad. We were using Shadow when we were streaming. Uh, we were streaming from Shadow, and we were streaming Stadia on Shadow, so you got the double lag onto it. Outstanding fun. It got some interesting turns and stuff in racing. A hell of a lot of fun to actually do that.
Yeah, it was.
EDP is GFN is the closest to pulling off the illusion that you're playing local. Yeah, it's his favourite. Star Wars, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. Another one saying 38 is the ultimate in the cloud, but the $20 a month expense is starting to question with the daily decreases of hardware prices. This is where it's going to get interesting. So we need to finish this up, don't we? But we actually love doing this. I'm just saying sorry, sorry, Heller, if you're watching. We're weeks or months away from the new 40 series being announced, and what's going to happen? You're going to have to assume now, like a year after these get released, it's going to go into GFM. So, and then what I'm hoping is when the 40 series goes in for the 3080 tier, will be the 40. People will who are in the priority maybe get the 3080s, and always have. That's what I'm hoping will happen.
That would be perfect if that happened.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Kizball, GFN is everything Stadia should have been to. God of War on GFN. God of War on GFN is absolutely brilliant. Geek the Snake, I've been using Humble Bundle since 2017. Stadia is my favourite cloud platform, then GFN, then Luna. Everybody has their favourites. Stadia, despite its absolute flaws at times, it is magical when everything clicks into place on Stadia. It is brilliant. It is the closest to the console in the cloud, and it is brilliant when it all clicks in together. And everybody has their different ratings and game taste, and everything comes into it. But yeah, it's great to see that. Humble Bundle is on what? If you just type in Humble Bundle onto Google, you'll be brought to Humble Bundle. It's a game store, and it is 100% legit. This is not a dodgy key site or anything like that. Just to show you how trustworthy they are. You know what Nintendo is like with any of this sort of stuff. Nintendo trusts them. So this is a complete and utterly legitimate site. You don't have to worry about being scammed or anything like that. They are completely and utterly legitimate site. So humblebundle.com, I think that's what it is. And they do bundles every week, but their monthly bundle is their star sort of bundle, and you usually get some deals and pretty decent deals there.
Yes, and if you are a choice member for Humble Bundle, you also normally get an extra, I think it's 20% off, isn't it? Depending on how long you've been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's up to 20% and up to additional 20% off if you buy kind of any standalone games as well.
Robert, thanks for commenting here. Thanks again for becoming a member. Okay. I've always said remote play is the answer to cloud gaming, so I'm currently testing PS5 remote play, and I'm liking this. How do you feel about remote play, Barry?
It absolutely Do you know what? In terms of the performance, it is exceptionally good on both PlayStation. If your home network and your Wi-Fi, all that sort of good stuff, is up to scratch, both PlayStation and Xbox on the PS5 Series X, the performance is incredible.
Yeah. I've used it for Xbox. I've used it for PlayStation. I have used them Adam Arena. Go Belfast Giants. I've used it there during like period breaks and stuff like that, and it has worked fine. Uh, its options are always good, and I think it's really good that they have it because not all the games are in the cloud. So if you're playing the aforementioned Call of Duty and you want to play that, you can jump on and use remote play to play that. Obviously, you probably wouldn't want to play remote play over because that's double.
It'd be worth giving it a bash because it's.
I
I mean,
would,
the performance is good, so it would be worth giving it a bash.
yeah. Thanks, Geek the Sneak, for answering that there. Cloud validation, yeah. You're patiently waiting for Resident Evil 2 and 3 to drop onto the Luna. We're patiently waiting for Luna to come across here.
Patiently, I would have said we're impatiently waiting.
Yes. Just the fears we will be having. I'm hoping we'll have some looks at Resident 2 and 3 on Luna. So we Maker of Chaos. Some people may know that, may know him. He's going to help us out with some videos and stuff as well. So he'll probably drop some of them on when they drop in the coming weeks or hopefully days.
That'd be the same with PS Now as well on the
Yep.
on the new PlayStation tiers and service and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Game Pass is difficult to match when they open the third-party game sales, which is in the works. It's game over. Here's the thing. I've said this before. It's not. I don't think it's going to be game over. I think they're probably going to be the biggest. I think they are going to be the biggest out there. But you don't need to be the biggest to survive if you get your right niche. And I think most of the cloud gaming services have got their niches now. We've got GFN is PC gaming. Stadia is a bit more casual. I'm hoping to see more something. Luna is linking it into Amazon and Amazon Prime. I think that they are the ones to really watch out there because they have Prime and the games are dropping in there. It just needs that to kick off, and they are going to be rocking. Facebook is, we can see that. I think they're going to be going more into the VR space. That's where I think their end goal is. PlayStation is PlayStation, so they do their own drum in the cloud space. Boosteroid, again, is appealing to the PC gamer. Just trying to think. And then you've got Shadow and RGPU and such like, which are the PC in the Sky and Stream Retro. Sorry. Does remote play while you're on the go work over 4G? I think I connected through Wi-Fi when I've tried mine. Don't think I've tried it over.
I don't think I've tried it over 4G. I've only done it over Wi-Fi so far.
Yeah.
I could probably try it though.
Yeah, we'll give it a try.
Yeah. Let's see if it works.
Yes.
No, it's fine.
Happy's making the point that xCloud is the only service which is still in beta. Yes, it's still in beta, so they get a by ball and some things. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. I think the longer that tag's there, obviously, there are some misgivings that you can. A lot of people will go, actually, you know what? It is still in beta, so.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, and your mama knows for super chatting $5, and thank you, Leon, for subscribing as well. Appreciate it. Let me see.
Find what? There was a comment that I was seeing where somebody was asking if we were going to answer the question, but I can't see what the question was.
Sorry, some of these are slightly out from order because we've been Boosteroid. I think we've talked about Boosteroid. We're going to do some Boosteroid stuff again. A video which is in my to-do list, which I haven't been able to do yet, is Borderlands 3 on Boosteroid is running really, really well. That was a free game on Epic a couple of weeks ago. Always claim your Epic free games because you just don't know what will happen. And that game is running well on Boosteroid. And that's one of those things. You can just pick up and expand your library very, very quickly.
Do you know what? It feels like ages since you've said, don't forget to claim your Epic games.
I know, it has, doesn't it? Barry said,
it's Assy.
good to see you too. It Takes Two come to GFN. Yes, it is available right this second, along with Mass Effect, and there's another couple of games which have dropped as well, including I'm going to get the game here because I know it's actually quite big, or it's the potential to get back quite big. Cycle
Frontier.
The Cycle Frontier. It's currently offline, or will I just check there for maintenance because there's a patch going on to it. So that game is available on GeForce Now as well. I know that has the potential of being quite big, so I know a lot of people are excited for that.
Do you want me to say the name again? So Sassy saying that he loves his Game Pass cloud-based on his Pixel phone, and I think the Pixel phone clarity in the screen, especially with the refresh rate on it as well, it does run really well. Even nicer if you're sticking it into something like a Kishi or a GameSir or something to kind of have that kind of controller-like experience as well.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine playing Cyberpunk with 3080. Yeah, basically 3080 has us spoiled. Roger, where did I get Roger from? Robert, sorry. xCloud doesn't have keyboard and mouse support. We've actually got a video which actually shows you how to actually play it with keyboard and mouse if you want to do that. Can we link this in our chat? I think we can. Shall I try and find it?
Yeah. And whilst you're finding that, I'm just going to... obviously, you thanked Anthony for the super chat, but he's pointing out that he did not read the message, which says, thanks for answering our questions and congratulations on the channel. I wish you all the luck, and if I can help in any way, let me know. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Where it comes up for me here, I haven't actually got down to the message as yet because we're just trying to catch up here. But yeah, thank you very much for that. I will highlight that in a sec. Oh, I've got it. I've got it here, but I just can't find the link. I'm being stupid. There we go. I found it now.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. So yeah, you can play it. It's a workaround. I don't think it's going to be that far off in regards to it coming officially. The video is there, so hopefully that has worked, because there is keyboard and mouse support in xCloud. You can see it when you have to put in your name. If you actually go and you have to put your name in, you can use your mouse and keyboard to actually do that.
Yeah. You can see the makings of it's there, can't you?
Yeah. So I've just lost my place here. Okay, sorry. I get distracted too easy. Let me see. Oh, sorry, sorry, it's way behind there. Sorry, we'll catch up here. There we go. I'll find it now. Kishi, yes. Clive Validation sent good through the. Thank you very much again for the donation there. Robert, again, thank you again for coming a member. We are going to be pushing out some members only stuff. Our members only stuff will be for members only for a couple of days, and then it'll go on to the main channel. It's going to be like a talk like this where we're going to take a big cloud gaming topic and just talk about it for half an hour, of course, for an hour, up to an hour. It
does. We say half an hour and it turns out to be an hour, so it could be anything between half an hour and an hour.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that. It's not going to start this week because it's just with all the E3 sort of, or so-called E3 or Summer's Game Fest, but it's going to start in a little while. Okay. So I'm just catching up here. Some publishers don't want their game in the cloud because the experience varies person to person, and the games want that could be that as well. That's a great point by Gandara there. That could be it. For me, I'm in the opposite end of the scale. Why wouldn't you want to have it on GFN's 3080s just for people to show it off? But I do understand that some people don't get the full experience of that. But I just think it is absolutely class. Okay. We're waiting 2 years for this GPU class. PSN now and the BMS provides. So, here's the thing about PlayStation Now. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I know for a lot of people it's absolutely. I've been playing PlayStation Now and it's running grand. And one of the strange facts is PlayStation Now is the #1 cloud gaming service in the UK.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Was it last week? It might have been last week before. I can't remember. We were talking about it recently, but yeah, it was a really it was really interesting because I think that probably would have shocked quite a few people actually.
Yeah. xCloud has a bit of activity, but the only service that I can. Yeah, that's what I've said about xCloud. xCloud seems to have the biggest range. I think either it runs brilliantly and it goes around, it's unplayable for some people as well.
It differs as well where you're playing it. I mean, I think between the browser, the app, and the console, you get a different experience. Well, across the shop. To be honest.
Yep. Are you welcome? Absolutely, everybody is welcome here.
100%.
100% correct. And Pluto is saying Guardians of the Galaxy runs well for him on xCloud. Ace, thanks for stopping by. Always great to see you here.
Absolutely, good to see you.
Yeah. And did I click on the wrong one here? Yeah. Is there any here who prefers keyboard and mouse over? I'll say my bit, then you can jump in and explain why you prefer it. I prefer mouse and keyboard for certain games. It's like the RTSs and city builders and things like that. But if I'm playing, like, say, Mass Effect, it's going to be on the controller. If I'm going to play a Call of Duty, it's on the controller. If it's Splitgate, it'll be on the controller. But outside of the games which are better, so that doesn't make sense now because people are going to say, them games are better. The games which are really designed for keyboard and mouse, like the city builders, I play them on that.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, I've spent a little bit more time kind of trying to force myself getting. I used to play a lot of keyboard and mouse, then I kind of, with the console generations, I kind of got lazy, trying to force myself and push myself back into that. And I guess one of the biggest reasons is that, yes, you can adjust your access sensitivity, on your controllers. Obviously you might end up with kind of stick drift and all that sort of stuff from your controllers. Whereas when you go into, mouse and keyboard, depending on what setup you've got, you can bring benefits. And particularly, and when you're playing a particular type of game, you can mess around with the DPI on the mouse to kind of be in the region of kind of getting the best sort of response and sensitivity and the right settings to give you a bit of a competitive edge, especially if you're playing sort of first-person shooters and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know playing using a controller in FPS multiplayer games, I'm putting myself at a disadvantage, but I just couldn't be bothered going back to the old school because I used to play that, and I just don't have the time or the patience to retrain my brain again because I'm too old. Okay. Sorry, this has jumped down again.
Yeah, the chat's been absolutely popping.
Yeah. So and we like this, so just keep them coming here. There's that question there. Xbox performance is terrible. Yeah. So they didn't say we all have that. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many small tips like this. That's a brilliant tip out there. Putting your TV in gaming mode, because that does absolutely drop the latency down as well. It does make a bit of a difference, and you can feel it.
Yeah, it does. And a lot of the way that it does that is effectively most TVs, when you put them into gaming mode, a lot of the ways that it might achieve kind of some of the lower latency and all that sort of stuff is it effectively turns all of that kind of post-processing in the TV off and just kind of allows kind of your connected device in your TV to run kind of almost in harmony without anything trying to kind of process it, which might oversaturate colors, add artifacting, slow the the latency and response time of the screen, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, and always wired and choose performance mode over that, performance mode over graphics mode, because the 60 FPS in the cloud matters so much. Stadia has the license for FIFA exclusively in cloud until 2023. Naughty. Pluto, thank you for joining. I'm just going through this here, and I keep on moving this down, and it keeps on jumping. It's brilliant, but I chose Shadow back then because I was able to use my own. Yeah, that's the beauty with them PCs in the cloud, but you actually have to pay more for them. It swings and roundabouts. Thank you. That's appreciated. You doing that. Gig faster, always better. Okay.
As long as it's reliable.
Thanks for helping out there and dropping them in there. Yeah, streaming on Shadow, it is 100% doable. Just be warned about some bits and bobs. Don't double cloud service up. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely not. Don't do it.
Bindin's cloud is not going anywhere without 4.4.4 chroma, really. Do you want I
think we probably that could turn into an endless conversation, so I think we probably touch on that separately.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to sorry if I'm skipping your comments, I'm just trying to go through here. Okay. We've got a question from Sam, the piano man. What does Shadow PC do exactly? It's what Shadow PC is. basically jumping into a PC in cloud. It is spec'd according to your, or in a couple of months' time, how much you pay for it. And you can download games, you can download Steam, you can download Epic and things like that onto it. So it's a fully fledged PC, which you don't have to worry about. So if you've got a really, really old PC, you jump onto that, you've got basically a semi-decent sort of PC where you can go and do stuff. And if you pay for the new tiers which come out, you're going to have a really good PC, and where you can play all the games to your heart's content up to 4K.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think as you will no doubt notice, but I think Sam also asked about whether we should say for a local PC or whether we should kind of maybe look at something cloud-based. And I know a couple of people have been really good in kind of coming back in the in the comments and saying, what, local hardware is kind of going to reign supreme in that sense, because you're always going to get the absolute best, depending on, obviously, on how you built it, how you spec'd it. But I guess it comes down to budget and what's going to suit you best.
Let's be completely honest. If you've got a 3080 PC in front of you, that is going to perform probably better than the 3080 in GFN or whatever platform you go on, because it's just local. But the magic of cloud is now it's getting very, very, very difficult to tell the difference between some of them.
I was just going to say that if you look at some of the videos that are on the channel, some of those kind of comparisons where it's physical 3080 versus, the cloud 3080 on GFN, it is. You have to kind of look and study in some of those areas to see some of those kind of key differences. A lot of people might not necessarily notice those differences, and the margins are much finer.
Yeah, and that's what it's coming down to. For me, the majority of cloud gaming service now are good enough, or past the good enough sort of stage where you can get people to play them. Even Facebook today, that is in a good enough state for people to jump in and play, even though it's slightly behind the other ones. We're at that stage where you can go and play on them, and that is great. And with these expansions coming out, I'm just really, really excited. And Andrew knows we have got it down to it now. Thanks for answering your question, questions in the channel. I wish you all the luck. Absolutely, and it's the same as well. We talk regularly. That's what you said. That's been answered in the chat down there. Okay. Sorry. Hi, Rock. Thanks for joining. And apparently, you're looking up at New York.
I mean, I don't know what that means, but I mean, I'll take it, I think. Thanks, Rock.
Yeah. No problem. And I'm just thanking everybody for helping them out there. Roxanne about PlayStation Now has been top quality for a couple of years now. I do wonder whether people state their opinion based on all. Yeah, I think that as well. I think the standards for PlayStation Now have went up, and if you've got an NVIDIA GPU and you play it on PC, they do upscaling as well, which looks really, really good as well. That old upscaling technique is doing wonders.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does make a difference.
And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, because we could go down that rabbit hole with GeForce Now do that as well, which is great. And you can do that on Stadia as well, sort of, where you can actually force the resolution up with Stadia Enhanced to make the game look better if you've got a lower res monitor. So It's real, real cool. That could be a question for next week. Question: where is gaming going if it was up to you over the next 3 years? 3 years, I think, are set in stone at this moment in time. I don't think we're going to see anything majorly come out from it. I think we're going to get our first steps with Xbox with their cloud native games. We may see something out from Ubisoft, the same with their scalar technology. But I don't think there's going to be masses of changes just because of the delays, because of COVID, because we're ready, we're in that now. We've got games delayed to next year, and because these games are getting delayed into next year, that's going to delay other games because they don't want to be in the same window as them games, and it just has the knock-on effect down the line. So I think we're in a domino sort of cycle at this moment with the games.
Yeah, I think that they're all great points, and I agree with what you are saying there. I think we certainly in the next 3 years we'll get glimpses, and I think that some of the best ways that I think we can where I see it is, I think they're going to find a way to bring a more immersive experience from games because they're going to have the ability to be a lot more creative, and I think the entire experience, don't get me wrong, gaming is an immersive experience as it is right now. If you engage with characters or story, you get sucked in completely. But I think there are elements within cloud that I really think they're going to do to kind of draw people and pull them in more.
Yeah, this is another good discussion topic. We've got lots of these because there's the other side of cloud. We've got the cloud gaming, which we're talking about now, which is jumping onto Stadia, GeForce Now, Boosteroid, whatever, down the line. And there's also the cloud of computing, where it's the networking side behind. We're touching on some of the stuff what you're doing with the AI and making these words even bigger and all that from behind the scenes. There's so much going on with cloud. It's just mad. And what is actually great to see is all of the big cloud gaming or cloud companies are fighting for the gaming space, and they are all taking it serious. In Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, they are trying to make their kits the standard for games going forward, and there's such a big fight on, and they're fighting with the tech battle there. Absolutely class. GFN, you know.
I'm gonna go with Chikapa.
There you go. Yeah, that's the thing. GFN is a PC gaming stuff, and I think that puts off people and attracts people. That's the sort of thing there. If you get your head around the PC sort of stuff, which isn't really that much, if you give GFN a couple of hours, if you're coming from not even a couple of hours, or from a console thing, yeah, you're hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
Is Stadia still around? Stadia is still around, and they are bringing games, but again, we have praised Stadia earlier on here today, but there is a concerning sort of thing here in regards to the DLCs not coming and stuff like that. But I don't want to really dive too deep into it. But what I can tell you, that there's been a lot of talk about the low-cost porting or whatever terminology they use, and that is still being worked on, and it's still not out there widespread. I can tell you that much. It is still being worked on behind the scenes, and I've been given that information, so I have. I can't teach an old gamer new tricks. Luffy Monk, thanks for joining. Yeah, controller stinky, guys. Sorry. Far Cry 6, yeah. Holds thanks. I'm just trying to skip down here. Oh, there we go. I've got down to the now. Okay. Baba trolling. I think it's up with this sort of question. Will Xbox game streaming box have a USB-C in the European Union because of the new law? I don't think it will, because I think it applies to just phones and tablets.
Yep. Absolutely, but it wouldn't surprise me, depending on how they decide to power it, try and get it into the box. It is conceivable that it could be USB-C powered, but
yeah. Thank you all for joining us. This has went on 45 minutes longer than it should. So yeah, but we are back here every Wednesday, 8 o'clock UK, 3 p.m. Eastern. We are just going to sit here and have another. You give us the questions, we will answer them to their best ability, and we will go into the weird rabbit holes as we normally do. We are trying to get more member stuff out, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for their support since we've taken over. It's been really, really appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. It really has, hasn't it?
Yeah, and we rest of the week. Just to give you a heads up of what's going to be coming out tomorrow. We've got our GFN news. Some of the GFN news is already out there, as you know. Friday we're doing a recap video of the game. I was going to say
Summer
Gamescom.
Game Fest.
Summer's Game Fest. Saturday we're going to have probably some gameplay of some description, or are we going to do what we said we were going to do?
One of the two. We'll figure it out.
Sunday we're having the normal recap of the news, and on Monday it is going to be a recap of the Xbox show. So, thank you all for joining us. And Barry, is there anything you want to say before I hit the magic button?
No, just thank you very much, and it's been great watching everybody in chat and kind of throwing the questions. Absolutely loved it tonight, and yeah, we'll be back here next week, and keep your eyes on the channel.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.